Is we live?
I think so, yeah.
We live. Taylor over here getting high at 10 in the morning.
Did you hear how stuck my fucking cartridge was?
No.
That's what I get for this one, just sitting in my car for like 2 weeks before trying to smoke it.
I will say, compared to like actually smoking, whether it's cigarettes or smoking weed, pulling on a dead vape is so much more not as bad as pulling on a cigarette that went out or a joint that went out, you know? It's fucking disgusting, especially
it's pretty
a cigarette.
gross.
A cigarette is fucking disgusting.
It's pretty gross.
Or relighting a once lit cigarette is like the grossest thing.
Ugh. Yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing with joints is like,
You've told me that.
once they're lit and you've taken just one hit, it like ruins the whole rest of the joint.
Yeah.
Especially like people that smoke half a joint and then put it out and then save it and smoke the rest of the joint later. Like that is like one of the dirtiest highs that you can get.
My girlfriend does that.
I mean, it's brutal. It's like a lot of people don't care, and it's like wine connoisseurs and shit. Like some people can't tell the difference between $2 fucking bullshit wine at Trader Joe's and like incredible wine, and it's the same thing with weed. It's like if you really can't tell the difference between the high that you get from fucking scraping resin versus,
I think I could tell the difference of that.
Well, but that is where you start to get into the actual qualities of the high. Is like if you smoke a joint, smoke half a joint, stop, and then smoke the other half later. The high that you're getting from that second half is literally half weed, which has been covered in resin, and then half straight resin.
And spit.
And all that shit. And just like, it's gross and it tastes terrible. And like it's...
Going to your wine analogy, I don't know if I could tell. I've only had like expensive
Well, I don't think I could
wine
either.
a couple times.
I think that's why I'm not as like...
But I did like it. But is it in your brain that you like it? Because you know it's expensive? Like,
But I don't really like wine. Do you like wine? Like, is that...
I like it fine. I mean, for someone who, like...
But, like, people that smoke weed love weed and really, like, it's something that they... I don't know. People that... There's this, like, split among the cannabis community of where, like... Do you care about... Yeah, cannabinoids. Do you care about, like, the overall quality of what's happening, or do you just care about the high in general?
I think when I was smoking a lot of weed, it was definitely... you got high, but it was... I was one of... is it ritual smoke? Like, it's just the act of smoking that I really liked, I think. Well, and then I'm high. But I would do spliffs most of the time.
Well, and I think that's... When I was smoking joints, like early in my... When I first started smoking... Yeah, in my career. Early in my career, when I first started getting into, the entertainment cannabis smoking industry.
Which is weird, but you actually are.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Saying it as a joke, but technically...
That's pretty true. Like, you work with probably in terms of comedians, like the most associated with weed comedian.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like Cheech and Chong, like, you know, as far as modern stand-up.
And we had Rachel Wolfson on, she's like the #1 newcomer weed comedian.
Well, and we talked about I talked to her recently, actually, just about like, you know, congrats on all her shit and all that stuff, and about like being in the weed era,
weed world,
and stuff like that. And it was when we were on here, it was like I remember telling her a story about I met this dude at a weed convention who didn't know who Doug was but knew who she was just from Instagram, and it was like
a new era.
Yeah, this new era of, you know, especially on social media, you just have so many different avenues to like attach onto and like be like, oh, I'm a fan of this person.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't have to really.
Well, I guess Seth Rogen, he'd be maybe #1.
Yeah, but again, he's more in like the Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, he's not
Snoop
a
Dogg, like you're an well, like Snoop Dogg isn't a comedian, but as far as being like,
is in a weird way.
I guess, but as far as being like,
he wears many hats.
Like Seth Rogen and Cheech and Chong have transcended out of just being weed comics and sort of being a part of the general like pop culture zeitgeist.
Yeah,
and. But I think as like comedians go, I mean, really, it's like Doug, Rachel is one right now, and I can't even like off the top of my head think of other.
But like Cheech and Chong was a character. Seth Rogen really be about that life. I know Cheech and Chong are real people, and Chong really does love
I was gonna
weed,
say
but
Tommy
Cheech
Chong went to jail for it later, and like.
But that was for his son's bong company.
Well, it was his bong company that his son was. Yeah,
that was.
I mean, that
bullshit.
whole it was total bullshit.
You know,
but I
he
mean,
was
he's
in prison with Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I've heard that
crazy?
story. Yeah, apparently he told Doug that story like early on, and then he relayed it to one of us on a podcast. That's how I heard it originally.
Maybe that's where I heard it.
Maybe.
I don't remember.
I mean, Tommy, he did the podcast. He did Getting Doug with High a couple years ago when we were in the studio. And yeah, he talked all about that shit.
He seems
just
great.
Like, he was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He just seems
cool.
like a really nice dude.
He was pretty chill, yeah.
Did you ever watch that documentary about him going to prison?
No, I didn't even know there was a documentary about it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I watched it years and years ago, probably around the time Super High Me came out. So what would that have been, like 2008 or something?
No, it would have been Super High Me would have been out in 2006.
Okay.
Or 7, maybe 2007.
Somewhere around there. And
Holy
I watched
shit.
both of those in high school because I think it's called like America versus Tommy Chong or something like that. It's good, and it's really sad because he didn't really do anything wrong, and like he's indicted like someone who embezzled money is indicted. Like he has a date to show up to prison. Like he's not in. Obviously, he has money. He can bail out.
Weird.
Gets convicted, and like him and his wife are like dancing and like having a nice night before the next morning she has to drive him to prison, and he's like, this is really surreal, I'm going to prison tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like minimum security prisons. It was kind of a best case scenario, if there is even such a thing for prison.
Yeah.
But fuck,
I mean, there has to be a best case scenario.
like
Have you ever been to a prison?
I've been arrested once and went to jail, and I toured the same jail when I was in middle school, and then I ended up going to that jail, so I kind of knew the layout already.
That was kind of I was wondering if you had taken like a school field trip too.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, we went to a maximum security prison.
I've not done that.
And it was like,
That's so fucking scary.
It was intense, man. We had like the whole thing where all the guys come out and talk to you and like half like.
Are you sure you were not scared straight?
It was basically Scared Straight. Yeah, I mean, we went through the whole process. I mean, they didn't like lock me in one of the jail cells and be like, this is what it feels like, motherfucker. Like,
they didn't make you put Fun Dip on your lips?
No, it wasn't quite like that. But it was crazy. Like we went through, it was like a bunch of people from my school, and you basically had to partner up. You had to hold hands as you're walking through shit, and people are yelling at you like, look at that. Well, hey, red shirt, what's up? Like,
what is the idea that schools would do this?
I don't know.
Unless it's a Scared Straight program. Like, if you've done nothing wrong, why?
Yeah, it was definitely.
I guess it's interesting to know.
It was an interesting experience, but it definitely didn't do what they wanted. It wasn't like I'm in fear of this place now. It was like it made me weary of like what a weird like system that we're under. Like we just put people in this weird like confined building and just sort of act like they're not part of society. It was very surreal, especially I was like I must have been like 14 or 15 at the time.
That sounds about right for when I went. Or no, it was middle school. How old are you in middle school?
You turned 14 in 8th grade.
Okay, so it probably was. It was 7th or 8th grade, so I was 13 or 14.
Yeah, I would have been in 9th grade, I think, when I went.
So we had a thing called Mini-Mester, which for 1 week they had all these silly classes that you could pick. Like I remember one was you just played the game Risk a bunch, and then there was one that was called Mock Trial, which everybody always said was one of the best, and there would be a defense and there'd be a prosecutor, and everybody would have roles. I think I was a juror because you could pick what you wanted, like your top 3.
Yeah.
And I was a juror, but on one of the days they took us to the Montgomery County Jail and gave us the whole tour. And I remember like the guy giving us the tour, he was a cop. It was very nice. And we make this turn. We're in a long line. I don't think we're like holding hands, but we were definitely staying close together. And this guy mopping the floor, he's like, can I get one of these kids to help me? He was like, get the fuck back! They just screamed at him. Jesus. Like he immediately snapped from like giving a tour to like correctional officer, like, in a second.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't fucking talk to those kids. He didn't say fucking, but he was fucking immediately turned on a dime. And
Damn, well, they just let them say whatever they wanted to us.
Yeah. Well, he, like,
They were chirping at us pretty hard.
I don't think he touched the kid, but he was like, can I get one of these kids, like, right over them, like, to help? Because he was mopping, and he was like, you don't fucking get those kids.
Can I get one of these kids right here to help? Can I get one of these?
I want one of these from my cell.
Give me one of the ones in the white shoes.
I wonder what shoes I was wearing. Probably
hell.
like checkered Vans or something, slip-ons. That's probably what I was wearing at that time. Or DCs. I might have been wearing DCs.
I was wearing.
Red DCs.
I famously wore all red Osiris's for like
I never
years.
had a pair of Osiris's. The
Years and
D3s,
years.
the real big ones.
I don't think they were the real big ones.
The D3s were
Damn,
the
maybe they
famously ugly ones with the
things,
the eyelets.
Yeah, I think it
like,
might have been those.
Those are the
I
best.
think it might have been those.
Those are the best.
I wore those for a long time.
I forget who those were, like whose skate shoe that was.
But that's like it's weird looking back now. Like having a shoe with that much like padding around your foot is like the opposite of what you want in a skate shoe. You want like
short window.
a fairly snug, form-fitting shoe that like doesn't move around on your foot at all, and like is.
Well, they were thinking foot protection was more important than feel, and feel has become the main thing now. But your feet are definitely less protected in some of these shoes.
Yeah, but what sort of protection does the top of your foot need while skateboarding?
The board can come down and chop on your foot.
I guess.
It hurts. It does happen.
I guess.
But the crazy thing is people were fucking ripping in huge baggy pants in the biggest shoes ever.
Yeah, and they weren't even laced up. Like people's shoes would just fly off all the time.
So like the skill level of 90s and early 2000s skateboarding was but there was always guys that were wearing like plain Converse Chucks or like Vans half cabs and stuff like that, which are pretty similar to a modern skate shoe. People still
they're
wear
pretty
half
similar.
cabs.
Yeah, those are because that's like the mid top with a little bit of padding around the ankle. Yeah. Those are nice. Yeah, but that was like the transition of like the old school, the original style skate shoe, and then when you were going into the modern era, which
there literally were high tops that Steve Caballero cut the top of the high top off, and then that became his signature shoe.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
History.
Totally cool, bro.
And also a trick is called the Caballero and the half cab, which is half of a.
It's like a fakey 360, or a fakey 180.
Yeah, half cab. Half cab skateboarding knowledge. Man, I haven't skated in forever.
Let's go to a skate park. I'll bring my blades.
Yeah,
I'll do some.
You were skating for a little bit.
I was skating for a while. Yeah. I mean, I grew up doing all of that, so like, I would like to do BMX shit again. That was fun. I did that a lot when I was young.
I never was good at that.
I mean, I don't know what it was about Florida. Maybe it was just that specific era, like the.
No, I had friends that did it.
The early X Games era, but we would put our skates in our bag. We put our skateboard through our bag on our backpack, and then we'd ride.
Y'all were rocket power.
And then that's exactly right. We'd ride our BMX bikes to the skate park, and then we'd do all of it. It was like that was just.
You were definitely squid because you were chubby.
Yeah, I was chubby, but I was pretty good.
Okay, you were good.
I was on like the local skate park team.
Well, Squid was a good goalie. Remember?
Yeah, that's true. I was not a goalie. I was like abnormally good at most sports when I was younger, other than like baseball and surfing. Those were two that I
was always
fell off.
Very, like I picked up things very quickly, but I never got great at things. Like I would be like very quick to pick up on something and then not really ever excel at it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was skateboarding. I feel that way about golf. Kind of feel that way about basketball and football, but I feel like if I had pursued one of those more, I could have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't think I put tons of time into skateboarding. I just hit a wall where it's like I'm pretty good. I can do a decent amount of stuff. At my best, I could do some cool shit.
Yeah.
But like I see other people just seems like with less work get way further. Mm-hmm. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, skateboard. Well, I always felt like skateboarding, rollerblading, BMX, like that was like it just felt like a point of diminishing return, like what you put into it versus what you get out of it, especially in the early 2000s, before it kind of became what it is today. Now, like, every fucking random clothing line has a skateboard team and shit, and like it's become this whole new thing. So it's, I don't know, that was always mine, is like I never gave it more than I was willing to give it. And so, like, the results always made sense.
But at the same time, you don't even know if you had, like say football. If you hit the weight room and you're at practice every day and you're getting physically stronger every day, you can see the progress. In skateboarding, you can go skate every single day and you will get better, but you don't know how much better or how long it's going to take or how, like, it's definitely different. And, like, I could put more work into golf and not drink when I golf and go to the range more and pay someone to teach me a little bit. But, like, at a certain point, it's kind of like, is it even fun anymore if I'm doing all that?
Yeah, no.
Like,
that's how I felt about
it's a pastime. Like, I'm not going to go pro.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I started playing tennis a bunch with David Deary, and, like, I'd play with Tyler a lot. And, like, we started getting pretty good. And then, like, Zach Stein, he started taking lessons and, like, getting really good. And, like, a bunch of other people that we were playing with, like, started like taking it really seriously, and that took away a little bit of the fun for me. Like, I like just you, as much as you play is how good you are. And so it was like a bunch of dudes, especially comedians, who aren't good at shit, and then sort of start to get a little good at it. Because I mean, I started playing pretty well. We were in, like, pickup games just in Hollywood and holding our own.
I played tennis very briefly as a kid, and I liked it, but I got decent at serving, but I don't really remember if I got much better than that.
It's fun, but it's something that you, like, have to do it with someone that you enjoy being around. Like, if you're out there, like, playing against people you don't like, it's brutal. And I mean, you'd see people would fucking argue and shit at the courts all the time.
That's how it is with basketball every time. Well, if there's not at least one argument, did you even play basketball?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. I never argue. And that's why it's annoying to me. Like, if we're arguing over a call or whose ball it is, I literally just, like, walk away from them discussing it. I'm like, are y'all done? Did we figure it out? All right, let's play. Like, it's just, we're wasting time. We only have 2 hours and y'all are arguing over whose fucking ball it is. Like, I just like playing.
You know, it'd be a fun sketch.
What?
Is just dressing up as a ref and just going and reffing those, like, pickup games so that you don't have to argue.
I mean, I've played in rec leagues where they do have refs.
Well, but all the major arguments are in, like,
oh no, just then they're arguing with the ref.
Well,
dude, my team, I had the guy who ran the team, I think he was ejected twice from the game because I'm like, who gives a shit?
How did he get back in the game?
No, like different games.
2 different games.
Different games.
I got you.
And he was so hot-headed. I'm like, they don't like us. They're the same refs every week. We're not going to get calls because you argue every fucking call. So the next week comes around, it's the same 2 refs. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. We did win the championship one year, though.
Champions.
Yeah. I got a Burbank Adult Rec League long sleeve shirt. It's the most uncomfortable shirt ever, but I did win it.
Should we write a script about an early morning pickup game at the basketball courts called the early game?
Yeah, there you go. They were usually at night. It was very similar.
Oh, the evening game.
The late game.
Another late game.
What do you think of that one, Brian?
No?
He's not listening.
No, not into it?
He's got headphones on.
All right. Yeah, he's not here.
We don't have our training wheels today.
We don't. Let's go through some news stories because I don't have any. I don't have any not trivia today.
That's all right. I got some news stories. These are pretty funny. All right.
Pretty funny.
Alrighty. Milwaukee police to replace all officer weapons following unexpected discharges. 3 officers have shot themselves with no deaths, so I'm laughing at something that's funny. No one died, but 3 people have misfired their guns on the Milwaukee police force, and now they have to change all the guns because it's the guns' fault.
What do you think they're gonna replace them with bubble wands?
The whistles.
Yeah.
Or he just gives him a wooden gun, and the other guys.
Yeah, the other guys. Did he take your wooden gun? Yeah, he took my wooden gun. I just watched that the other day, actually.
So
that's
currently
hilarious.
they have Sig Sauer P320s and they're going to replace them with weapons made by Glock, which Glock seems like the most reliable, easiest handgun. If you're going to buy a handgun, most people would point you to the direction of Glock for price and just like easy and maintenance.
Wow.
But Sig Sauer, you're out.
So this just makes me think of all of the holy shit. So individual state or city police have deals with these firearm companies to supply them.
Yeah. Well, how much do you think this is going to cost? Because it says.
Oh, how much is it going to cost to replace them all? Does it say how many people are on the force?
Does not. Not that I see.
I'm gonna say.
They just say the price.
I'm gonna say it's an astronomical. I'm gonna say it's. I'm gonna say it's $1 million plus.
It's $500,000.
$500,000. Okay.
But for Milwaukee, and I'm assuming since you're buying in bulk, you get a deal. That's got to be
I guess so.
They're probably $300 each. It's $450,000, so a little less than half actually. I can't do the math, but I'm guessing around 1,000 guns or something like that.
That's fucking
1,000 guns.
Crazy.
Somewhere around there. So yeah. Luckily, no one died in these misfires.
Yeah, I want to know, were they all in the holster and they just shot their leg?
Okay, this is what most recently on September 10th, Milwaukee police said 41-year-old police officer was injured when another officer's gun went off while it was holstered. He was taken to the hospital and treated for his injuries. In July 2020, Officer Adam Mariotto was unintentionally shot in his leg by another officer's holstered gun. So maybe in the car.
Are they? Yeah, are they sitting down or something?
He was on his lap. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, just
they were making out. I think you shot.
Yeah,
me.
that would. Yeah, Bo, if you sat across my lap, your gun would be right into my fucking kneecap. That's so funny. A bunch of
They're no, I don't know how it happened. We were just sitting next to each other and it shot me in the leg.
Bunch of dudes cheating on their wives. Just happen to get shot. That's so fucking funny. I mean, hold on. I have to ask the question.
Yes.
Is there not a safety on the gun? Because
they
that is I can't that feels like user error, human error.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, this is just a bad rep for Sig Sauer, which I think are kind of known to be a little bit on the shittier side. And also, a lot of cops provide their own gun. It has to be within a certain.
Really?
Yeah. But they can pick their own gun a lot of the time.
Weird.
It just costs money. So you
it's
get
not like
you get your service.
It's not like
pistol.
a Harry Potter wand. It doesn't choose you.
It might.
You go into the gun store. One of the guns just starts shaking.
Yo, wizard. Yeah. Yeah, Sig Sauer definitely picked a couple of officers' legs. They're like, I want to be with him.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Sig Sauer has settled at least one federal class action lawsuit involving the P320. So there are misfires.
They've had problems previously
involving pistols made before 2017, offering refunds or replacement guns to purchasers. The pistol has been sold to both law enforcement and civilians. All right, so they'll be back shooting innocent people instead of shooting themselves.
Yeah, is there this sort of intermission period where they are gunless, where they just don't have guns? It's gonna go down as the safest,
the purge.
the safest week in.
It's either it's gonna be the purge or it's gonna be the safest.
That would be sick if it was the purge.
This one is awesome, but I guess I can hold it up to it. The picture is what makes it.
Okay.
But a church built a massive baby Jesus statue that looks exactly like Phil Collins.
Wait, what?
Let's see if it's visible at all.
Not really.
No. Well, maybe
Here, can you unplug your computer?
Yeah. Let's see. There you go. There's not really anything else to the story besides
Maybe
that.
we can insert
Into the thumbnail or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing. I mean, if for one, why are you doing a baby Jesus?
Why? Hold on. The hairline of that
It's got a
because
widow's
the face.
peak.
It's got a widow's. It's like has a full receding
yeah,
hairline.
not even a widow's peak. Yeah, it's a male pattern
It's got
baldness.
a perceived widow's peak
Yeah.
from having just a 60-year-old man's receding hairline. That's what makes it really look like Phil Collins is that they have the exact hairline in the fucking 80s. And they still gave him abs. Baby Jesus still has abs.
Those look kind of like rolls. It's really weird. But also,
They're
like,
abs.
that is the whitest baby. I guess it at least has.
They are
darker-
rib-shaped abs.
Yeah, they are rib-shaped abs. They're very odd. But
That is fucking weird. I mean, baby Jesus is
this
the
is
only
the largest baby Jesus statue in the world. That's what it says. It's in Mexico.
Wait, are there? Do we have dimensions?
The statue is nearly 22 feet tall and weighs roughly
22 feet? Oh my god! I thought it was like 6 feet.
Look, there's a guy next to it.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking!
Even if it didn't look like Phil Collins,
you know what's
it's
funny?
fucking weird.
I thought that guy that was standing there was like another figurine to show the size between a normal size figurine
No,
and this
that's a
giant
human
baby.
being.
That is fucking insanity.
It's 2,000 pounds. Its wavy brown hair and big blue eyes make it more of a dead ringer for Genesis frontman and less like the Middle Eastern frontman of the Christian faith. Whoever wrote this was having a good time.
That is awesome. The Middle Eastern frontman of the Christian faith. That's the only way. I'm never going to refer. I'm never going to refer to Jesus again. Do you believe in Jesus? Oh, you mean the Middle Eastern frontman of the Christian faith?
That is exactly who I mean. All right.
People will be like, wait, no, is that who I mean?
It's so confusing, the wording. Or are you a Phil Collins supporter? Frontman of Genesis. I actually didn't remember that Phil Collins was in Genesis. I just think of Phil Collins as just
He's
Phil
the
Collins.
Paul McCartney of Genesis, right? Or he's the John Lennon, Paul McCartney.
Like, what's a Genesis song? I just know, like...
I actually don't know. Not off the top of my head. You know what? I think some of the like stuff that we remember as Phil Collins is actually Genesis. Yeah, let's look it up. Let's see.
Like, I don't know any Sting songs, but I know some of the Police songs.
You know Sting song. The "I'll Be Watching You" is a Sting song.
Yeah. No, I think that's the Police.
No, that's Sting.
Sure?
That's when he was solo.
Was he wearing the face?
up in the rafters. Oh, Sting the wrestler. Fucking asshole. Invisible Touch is their #1 song. I don't know.
I bet.
I Can't Dance. Let's see if we
don't
know
play it because we're gonna get it'll cut it off.
It will get us cut off. Well, here, let's. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, don't know it.
All right.
Send us your favorite Genesis songs.
If you want to hear more Genesis news, let us know.
Oh,
all right, this is the final story, and I saw this video.
It's the final story.
This is the final story. That's not Genesis, is it?
No, that's Styx.
Is it? The final countdown? Styx?
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh. We're in this forever. Or together? I actually don't know the words.
You don't know shit. All right.
I do like Styx.
So, I saw this clip, which we're not going to show, of this guy.
Brian, you can't pull the clip up?
Brian, can you pull that up?
You can't pull it up?
He's not listening.
All right.
Brian!
He's
So there was this video of this guy. He's got like a shit-eating grin on his face. Oh, maybe it's not the same guy, because this guy wore a Hitler costume. The guy I saw was just wearing a Nazi uniform and got kicked out of a New York bar.
I saw.
Did you see that video?
No, I saw a picture of. It looked like Halloween at like a high school, and some kid was dressed up as Hitler and was being escorted out.
Did you see we're a little off topic from the story, but this woman on the news had to apologize for, it was like cat of the day or pet of the day, and she was like, this funny cat, Kittler. And it's just a white cat with a black little mustache. It's funny, it's lighthearted, like, she's not supporting Hitler. And she had to, like, come on and, like, the next day and be like, I'm sorry for
Isn't that, like,
everyone
a famous
offended.
cat? Like, Kittler? Isn't that a thing? Like, I think there's, like, a meme about it.
There's a bunch of Kittlers out there. We have a cat with the white cat with a mustache, and we have called it Kittler plenty of times.
Can we cut that out?
Yeah.
Can we cut that part out?
Next.
Let's cut that part out. Yeah, and can we actually cancel the Kanye call? We don't. Yeah, we don't. We don't want him to call in right now. Actually, we'll reschedule for next week when this.
I burned
goes
all
over.
my Adidas.
I have so much Adidas.
I know
in
you
there.
do.
I only have a couple Yeezys though. Only a couple.
What are you gonna do with them?
Wear them. Wear them unless they become really expensive, and then I'll sell them.
I wonder if he's had controversies over and over again. This seems like the biggest one. Do you think once again it'll all blow over when another album comes out?
I think so. I mean, I'm not a Kanye apologist by any means.
Yeah.
I think he's a fucking nutcase, but he does seem to be at least calculated.
Yeah.
Like, his insanity seems to pop up around either when he's releasing an album or something like that, or like using it to get stuff. Like, he's been talking for a long time about trying to get out of his Adidas contracts because they've been stealing his ideas. Same thing
why?
with Gap. What do you mean?
Like, why get out of Adidas and lose, like...
Because he would stand to make way more money if he could do stuff
Once he's on his
through just the Yeezy brand by himself.
Okay.
And being attached to especially a giant corporation like Gap and Adidas is like, you're sort of within their bounds. And so and they've been...
I didn't even know he was with Gap until just recently.
And they have been like stealing like a lot of his designs and putting them out for really cheap, like under their own line.
Yeah.
So all that's been going on literally like all the way up to what happened with all like the anti-Semitic shit.
Yeah.
And
when he went DEFCON.
Listen, he did only go DEFCON 3. So he was not...
No, he went DEFCON. That's
he
what he
said
wrote.
DEFCON?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. But at least he held it to 3 and not 5.
Is 5 the highest DEFCON?
Yeah, I think DEFCON.
What does that even mean?
Well, DEFCON 5 is the highest, but DEFCON goes up to an infinity.
Who knows?
I'm going DEFCON infinity on you.
On the Jews.
No, but I mean, I think that there's at least a small chance that he just took a leap and was like, "This will get me out of all my contracts."
Yeah. He was right.
I mean, he's a nutcase, anyways.
Yeah.
but
I thought I mean, it's not funny. It's really fucked up. But it is kind of funny whenever he was kind of apologizing for the George Floyd stuff. And he's like, I know what it's like to have a knee on my neck because I have socially had a knee on my neck. And it's like, it sounds like something Kenny Powers would have said.
Yeah.
In an apology.
I mean, he's
like
he's not completely there, but like I said, it does seem like a lot of his insanity does seem calculated, but also a little bit uncontrollable.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whatever.
To stay on the anti-Semitic topic, man who wore Hitler costume for Halloween fired from job at Madison Children's Museum.
The Children's Museum. Oh my
god. A man who drew
what's your angle with being Hitler for Halloween and there's no like shtick to it?
Yeah,
like there's no
like zombie Hitler maybe would
or
work, or like
if you were like
I'm not touching that, but
I would like to be, maybe we could be Hitler from Inglourious Basterds and your face is all shot up and you got no face.
Yeah, I still would not. I think there's so many costumes that you can do. Like, why? Even funny version of it? Like, why do it?
No.
You know, you're still walking on eggshells.
Like I said, unless there's some, like, real direct context to it, it doesn't make any sense at all to make... To brandish a fucking Nazi insignia on your arm. Like,
you're gonna
do that at all and under sort of any sort of...
It's just not a good look.
That's actually
You're gonna have that moment.
Let's
where
leave
you're
that
by
sort
yourself.
of irony for the Jewish people. I believe that only Jewish
if you're
people
Jewish,
can
If you're Mel Brooks and the producers, you can do Springtime
Yeah.
for Hitler.
Yep,
That's
I agree.
totally fine. Yeah, the Jews, that's Jewish privilege right there. That's their privilege.
That's right. Yeah, you get to dress up.
You get to dress up as Nazis. I wonder if this.
That's their white chicks.
Yeah, exactly. Which I totally forgot at the end of Bad Trip that the last thing they do is white chicks a party.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. I definitely didn't like that movie, but that was funny.
You didn't like Bad Trip?
No, I thought it just didn't work.
Oh, no, I hear you, but watching it on mushrooms, it definitely did work.
Oh, well, I'm sure. Yeah, if you're on
definitely did
mushrooms,
work.
that's going to hit pretty hard.
Let's see. I mean, if you can't dress as Hitler and work at your children's museum, what can you do these days? It's just this woke culture.
Was it a work party?
No, I think it got national attention, and then he lost his job, I think.
I hope it's a children's Holocaust museum.
Jesus Christ! I don't think they have a children's Holocaust.
They don't.
I think they just.
They don't have like a lighter version for kids to go learn, or is there
Is
there a children's hall in the Holocaust museum?
I don't think it's. There definitely is. When I went to the one in DC, which I think is like the main one in America.
I was like, don't they have one in
America.
Austria that's pretty famous?
There's a big one in LA as well, but there is. I wouldn't call it a
There
kids
is one
section.
in LA.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
yeah, I've never been to it.
I haven't either.
But I always see the sign for it.
Yeah, maybe we'll go. Feel sad for a couple hours.
Yeah, it would be very sad. Would you do the would you, like, if you were over in Poland or Germany, would you go to the like concentration camps if you had the opportunity?
It would be interesting. Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot.
I think because the main one is in Austria, right?
Auschwitz, I don't know. Would you say that's the main one?
I think so, but I actually
like
don't know.
Dachau, Treblinka, Auschwitz, and
Yeah, I mean, that would be.
I think of
very
Auschwitz
interesting.
as the main one, but maybe that's
Yeah.
just because there's some most literature about
Where
Auschwitz.
is because Anne Frank's house? The house is also a museum, or tourable at least.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, if I was there, I would definitely like to
I know people that have gone. And
take in some of that weird energy. That's got to be a weird experience to be around,
Yeah,
like,
it's insane.
because even just like think about it, like even stuff like you go into an old like hotel and people are like, oh, this is haunted, weird shit happened here.
Yeah.
Like you just instantly get a weird vibe. So going somewhere where like something undeniable and like
Yeah. Well, some
like
people deny it.
insanely well. I guess, but I just like the fact that like something so insanely terrible, like that you can like confine it to a certain, like it happened over like a lot, but like there are certain spaces that really
are the
hold
most,
that. Yeah,
the worst of the worst.
Yes.
Things happen.
And it's just like I can't imagine, because the imaginary bullshit of like ghosts and stuff gives you a weird feeling about a space, and so the idea of like real life horror happening in a space that would like, I don't know how that would really affect me.
I didn't realize
Outside of like going to
what would,
like plantations and stuff in the South.
Yeah, I was gonna say what would
But that's
be
like
comparable.
It's weird, like being white in the South. I mean, I guess just being in the South at all, they don't really like disclose the extremities of what was actually happening. It was like, it's very much like, you know, this is the main house, this is where the workers live. Like it's like workers. Like so it's like,
like if
you don't really get, but like
house.
now if you go on like a black guided tour of some of these places where they really break down the history of
real
what
shit.
Well, you'll get the reality of what was going on versus like there's
watered
like
down version.
Yeah, I mean, we would go through and be like, this is the type of bedding that they had in the time, and then if you right through this door is the gift shop, so feel free to buy anything. It's like Jesus.
Kind of rush through that last part.
Yeah, it's like holy shit. So
the only thing that I've been to that was like that was Mount Vernon, George Washington's house. And
what's that? Oh,
it's like
did you see the
there's
stump?
like slave quarters.
Is there the stump where the cherry tree was?
That's fiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Well, his teeth are also fiction.
Yeah, they were slave teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
The wooden thing, that never existed.
No. Who is it? Louis C.K.'s bit where he's like, or no, when he's talking about you come home and you see your kid with an axe and he's chopped down a cherry tree. That's not the scary part. The scary part's when he says, "I cannot tell a lie."
Oh no, that's
who is that?
That's fucking. You can't lie.
You can't lie.
You can't lie. That's Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald, yeah.
I watched
totally right.
that special.
Trying to retell that joke, it sounded so unfunny.
Yeah.
But hearing Norm, it's like the funniest joke.
Yeah, because he has the like setup where you think he's going one way and he's like, oh, you can't lie, you can't tell a lie.
Yeah, retelling Norm jokes is like when people try to tell like Mitch Hedberg jokes. I'm like, it's not gonna work.
Mitch Hedberg is a little bit easier.
Yeah,
like
you could type them and they work.
It's readable. It's more like Rodney Dangerfield, where like they're readable.
Yeah,
I'll print you out 50 pages worth of Rodney Dangerfield jokes.
Yeah, you still owe me.
But
those.
no, Norm is more like concept.
Yeah,
and he is the reason why it's funny.
Yeah.
Like that whole special is amazing. I ate mushrooms and
bring it back to Hitler.
Yeah.
Isn't that called Hitler's Dog? Isn't that the name of it?
Yeah, it's called Something in Hitler's Dog.
Something in Hitler's Dog.
Yeah. Fuck.
I forget what it's called. But either way.
But yeah,
this is a Hitler heavy episode.
Sorry about that. Wrong time to do.
Folks.
At least it's an anti-Hitler episode.
This is not a pro-Hitler podcast.
Can we wait? Let's name this episode "Anti-Hitler Episode."
I like that. That'll get us some clicks. Hopefully.
But that special, two of my favorite.
I've watched it
trips,
recently, and I couldn't even remember there was him.
I rewatched it recently, but two of my favorite mushroom trips ever. One was watching that special, and I just watched it twice in a row. Boom, back to back. And same thing.
You watched it twice in a row?
In a row, yeah. Huh. Like, because when I eat mushrooms, I'll eat mushrooms and go for a walk. Just around my neighborhood.
By the time you get back,
and then
it's kind of going.
When I start to feel it a little bit, I'm like, all right, I got to get back home. And then I go home and I feel cozy in my house.
I love being cozy.
And I just watch like, usually I'll watch a stand-up special, just something funny to keep the mood light. And then if I'm really into it, I'll just redo it. And then sometimes I'll put like a movie on or something like that, or.
I mean, stuff like Planet Earth is always good.
I have Planet Earth DVD right there.
Yeah.
The Sigourney Weaver version.
Ooh. I thought it was always David Attenborough.
They did like an American version where she did it, and it was like that one in particular I like, but everything else I prefer David Attenborough. Like Life, they did David Attenborough, and then Oprah was the American version, which I didn't love. It was pretty good, but
yeah. I mean, how great would a Norm?
That would be. Oh, look at these plants over here. I just rewatched all the Norm's interview show as well. It's fucking amazing.
I wish they had every single one of the YouTube ones.
I know.
If you there's a YouTube channel called I'm Not Norm, and there's a ton of the clips, but they don't have the full episodes. I guess whenever they made the Netflix show, they had to pull them off or something.
Well, I don't know if they bought. I don't know exactly what happened.
They bought the name or whatever.
Because we used to shoot
in the same
the same room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the room where we shot Getting Dug with High. Say this is the wall here. If across the other wall on the other side of the room was Norm's setup. So like while we were smoking, doing our thing, filming, you could see Norm's desk the whole time there. And so I think similar to what happened with us is. Jash got bought out and then was basically folded. And I think that whole like section of the company just sort of doesn't really exist anymore. And I think that's who did all the podcasting and any sort of comedy side of that. So
I just feel like especially since now that he's passed, like Netflix or somebody just needs to put all of that out for free because there's only so many episodes, and it's like 8 episodes of the Netflix one, maybe 10.
Yeah, it's weird. I never thought about this. Netflix doesn't really have an internet presence outside of their streaming platform, right? Like they don't have like a YouTube.
They do. They have like one called like Netflix Stand Up, I think, where it's just clips.
Oh, where they show clips and stuff like that. Okay.
They do, but
I was gonna say that's because they could like really.
Like they have an Instagram too.
Right, but if they like on their YouTube, if they just started putting out those old Norm episodes,
who knows if they own them?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though.
I tell you what.
If fucking In Touch, I think that's the company that owns or is maybe they're owned by
I don't know.
Whoever owns who bought out Jash and all that. If they own it and they're just sitting on it and doing nothing, that is insane.
It's bullshit.
I mean, I don't think I'm talking out of turn. I feel like they made some decisions that weren't the best for.
They're coming for us.
Themselves,
they were gonna buy us,
yeah.
and then
they were gonna pick us up. They were,
and you just ruined it.
I wonder if I still know people that work for them.
That'd be sick.
I should reach out. I mean, not that it's gonna benefit me in any way, but I'm just curious to kind of know how like the trajectory of what had happened since we left and all that. So,
yeah. Well, I watched. I haven't done a full count yet, but I think I watched all 31 because I watched
new movies
of horror movies, and my last two, the final night of watching movies, October 31st.
The final movie.
Did Bodies.
Okay.
Did you see any of that?
I haven't seen it.
That's the Pete Davidson one.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No, I've not seen that.
Mediocre movie, good ending. It's the opposite of Barbarian. Barbarian's good movie, mediocre ending. This is mediocre movie, good ending.
Dude, the first,
which I think is hard to do.
Since we recorded last, I watched Barbarian and It Follows, and I liked them both.
Yeah.
But Barbarian, the first 40 minutes was great. Yeah, it really was. It kind of fell off as soon as you meet the lady.
I wouldn't say it fell off there.
Not fell off, but it became. All the tension sort of went away for me because I knew what it was, and it wasn't like.
I mean, I think for a monster design that was pretty creepy, especially when you barely see her in the distance down the hallway. I think that's cool, but once you're right up close to her, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was.
What's with these sexist male directors putting old women with floppy tits in their movies?
We talked about it, and then I talked about it with Doug the other day, that it's like, and I think Doug made a point. I think that The Shining was sort of the beginning of that, of like this weird old creepy lady with like,
but it's
specifically like flat, saggy boobs, and then since then the horror genre has just taken a hold to that. Like From Dusk Till Dawn uses it with like one of their vampire lady, but it's just
Witch.
It's just an
Barbarian.
odd. Yeah, Barbarian, obviously, but it's just a weird choice.
Well, I mean,
of like, why couldn't there be like a sexy, scary, with perfect tits?
It's not as scary.
Or like disgusting fake tits that are like,
I think it's more
or clothed. Why couldn't she be clothed?
That'd be all right. I think just I don't think it's necessarily just women. I think old and like. Just the idea of dying, it's kind of all mixed with that. Yeah. And witches in general, like what you think of as a witch. Sometimes they're the pretty witches, but your idea of a quintessential witch is like an old saggy, gnarly. Yeah. So I think it just has to do with that, but maybe it is a little sexist.
I mean, regardless of like its sexism, it's just a weird choice overall to like have that be this,
but it
like,
works great in The Shining,
monolith of horror.
But I wouldn't.
Well, it works great in The Shining because of the transition from something desirable to something undesirable. A beautiful naked woman who's alive versus a dead, decrepit old zombie, basically. And so there's direct context for it, and that's why I think. And let's be honest, the horror genre in general is just a little bit hacky and a little bit hokey overall. And so I think when they take stuff in reference of other movies, unlike the way that like Tarantino does it, they lose the substance for the reason as to why it was there. And I think it plays a little bit more in Barbarian than it does in a lot of other movies, where it's just there as this visual scare. I think it plays, especially with the whole like mommy sort of stuff. Like
gross.
It's gross, and it's it shifted from tension and fear to repulsion and disturb. So, And I think it worked a little bit more contextually there, but so many horror movies really lose the substance and context for the reason of these things and why we're afraid of these things visually. Because there's no like fear of being old or fear, you know, of like of that sort of thing.
I mean, that's
attached
like what
to a lot of it.
are.
Well, I think skeletons are more attached to the fear of the non-living having conscious and being able to affect it. Yeah.
And then the final movie that I watched to cap off all of October, which the original plan was for it to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I didn't do that. I did Hereditary.
Wait. You didn't watch 30 new movies. You just watched 30 movies.
No, I think they were all. I think I hit 31 new movies that I hadn't seen. Not all of them are new.
But Hereditary, you've seen before?
I did see it, but I didn't watch it all the way through. I missed part of it, so this was my first full watch through, and I think it's good.
That's pretty much how I felt about it.
I remembered really liking it, and I rewatched it with the context next to Midsommar, and everybody saying how Hereditary is a masterpiece and Midsommar is flawed. I think I put Midsommar over Hereditary.
Wait, is that the general consensus, that Midsommar is flawed and Hereditary is great?
That's what I've heard people say, yeah.
Wow, I feel kind of...
And I think it's great for your first movie.
Yeah, 100%.
And they nail so many things, but I think I had put it on such a pedestal, and then rewatching it, I was... the bar was set very high in the rewatch, and I was not let down at all, but... and there were some really good ideas in there, but...
Yeah, there's a lot to like.
Yeah, there is a lot to like.
I really like a lot about it, but overall it just didn't it didn't feel like a cohesive path to the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like there was a lot of like abrupt like oddness, and then they tried to like wrap it up with like, oh, it's all been caused by the cult, and you know, and it just didn't like... It didn't come together like I don't mind a jagged story if the jaggedness is on purpose, and then it really does come together at the end, and it just didn't for me personally. And so it just became something where it's like, yeah, I like these moments, but I just didn't like it overall.
I definitely liked it, and I think if I'm comparing it to the rest of the new movies that I saw this month, it's definitely up there. Yeah. It's in the top 10. It's probably in the top 6 or 7. I don't think top 5, but it's really fucking good. And I hate when people talk about elevated horror, but if anything's gonna get that label, it's gonna be movies like Ari Aster's and Robert Eggers' movies.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the direction of good horror storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's like that, and like I just was saying, is horror is a genre that sort of likes to live in the unelevated regions of cinema,
which is great too.
Yeah,
there's some really good.
I love that, but it's like there's a reason that no horror movie almost ever has been like involved in any Academy nominations, and like
Get Out was like the first one
to
win.
Yeah, and that's something that I would add into the elevated horror. I think it's a good movie that has horror themes throughout. Yeah. And it's like...
And shot beautifully.
Of course.
Which a lot of horror isn't that... I'm not saying it's not shot that great, but it's like... As soon as I see a horror movie that just has an insane filter put over the whole movie, I'm like...
silly.
Okay. That's why I think Midsommar works so well, is like daylight horror, folk horror is some of the best stuff. Like, you can make people scared, and it's a beautiful setting.
Yeah.
Like, Hereditary does kind of have a tint over it half the movie, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like,
it does have, there's like a blue-gray hue to everything.
Yeah.
I think that's what I liked. That is really something I liked about Midsommar a lot, is because a big thing that visually turns me off to horror a lot of times is the lighting. Like, it's not like something like Halloween, which is
like, lit. This is a horror movie now.
Right, but like something like Halloween, the original, which was lit amazingly for a small independent movie, versus like...
We're talking about the GOAT here.
Yeah, well, and it was like... that is true stylized lighting.
Yeah.
Versus now where you're talking about like filters and all that shit are used, where they're trying to be almost like over stylized instead of using like just lighting and ambiance and stuff. Like I think that and this is just a reference for stuff that I'm working on, the like superhero thing that I'm gonna do like is very horror based. Like the themes, the music, a lot of the shots, a lot of the stuff like that is based in horror, so that the other elements can sort of stand out a little bit. And it kind of plays into a lot of the story aspects of it. But as far as like the visual tone, I've always felt like Moonlight gave off one of the best like horror visuals ever. Now I know it's not a horror movie at all. There's no like it's.
Are you saying black people scare you?
No, I think that those tones with like horror music, like that sort of vibe underneath it, visually is incredible. And so that I sort of like wanted to bring those two worlds together to create a certain tone to overlay over like a superhero story. And it's like those, I can't think of a single horror. I tell you what, It Follows had pretty good lighting.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool.
I thought it was pretty good. It was very reminiscent of Halloween. But it was a little bit more flat in the lighting, and I thought that was on purpose, and I liked it a lot.
I doubt that it was shot on film. Which
I don't think it was, but
it could have been. I forget that.
But the tone that it created was correct for the movie overall, and I think that I really can't think of any horror movies that exist in like not the elevated horror, that exists like in the horror like genre purely, that really have beautiful stylized lighting like that adds to the story, but it also like I mean,
Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, definitely. Texas Chainsaw is pretty great, but they are like, you shoot on a grainy daylight film and like think
of a good one.
A lot of low light stuff, and that really adds to the tone. But yeah, I just can't. That's like something I've always thought about in horror. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think Eli Roth does a lot of cool visual stuff. Like he plays to the actual like cinema like aspects of movies and horror, but he is too, in my opinion, he likes B horror movies too much and incorporates that a little bit.
Which I think is great. You got to have that voice that is not necessarily redoing, but celebrating that version of horror. Like I love that that's out there, but it's not my favorite kind.
Well, that's why I put Green Inferno over The Witch, is that
wrong.
And it's not as good of a movie. It's not. Wrong. It's 100% not.
Just kidding.
But it's just the humor in it it made it more enjoyable for me in Green Inferno, that you just get like those sort of both of those aspects. Like I got some laughs, I got some like a little bit of fear, but
you know what the perfect example of the opposite is of the ones we're talking about, like a heavy tint over it, but it actually works, is Saw. Saw does that, and everybody tried to do that.
Yeah.
The shaky camera is so annoying when you rewatch it now. Yeah. But it was fucking brilliant at the time.
Yeah, the
reverse bear trap scene where it's like
and where she chaotic. Like shaking her head like this, and then they speed it up to make it look like she's like
it looks like a fucking Marilyn Manson music video. When it first came out, it was fucking awesome. And or the guy in all the barbed wire, like they speed that up when he's moving all through it, and you're like, oh shit, this is crazy.
Wow, it really does. It's like a Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson music video. You're totally right.
Who's that director? I forget who did Saw.
That's James Wan, I believe, who is now doing like he's doing crazy shit, like stuff he should not be doing. If I'm being totally honest. Like that, you know what another movie he did that was really good? Kevin Bacon. His son gets murdered by some like gangsters, and they go to court, and Kevin Bacon's like,
Oh, I've heard about
No,
this.
that's not the guy who killed my son.
Yeah,
Like,
so that
what are
he
you
can
doing?
go-
And then he goes out after him and kills him. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. It's like
hold on,
Walk
let me
Among the Tombstones, but it's not. It's a different movie. I was on a bit of a Kevin Bacon kick. I did
Okay.
They Them. Did you see They Them?
No,
That's a pretty
That's
good
Kevin Bacon?
slasher. Yeah, that's Kevin Bacon.
I did watch that Ethan Hawke shit, Black Phone, and God, I hated that.
I didn't hate it, but yeah, it's not good.
I extra hated it. I want to talk.
You extra hated it.
I extra hated it. I actually thought about watching it again.
I thought he was good, though. I thought he was good.
I thought he was good, but it's like nothing
he's
about.
always good. He's gonna pop every
That's
time.
something for me. Like you could give the best performance ever, but if nothing in the movie makes sense and there's no like, who even cares? Like,
Yeah, like how easy would it be at any moment for him to just kill the kid? What's he waiting for?
I don't know.
He's killed 6 other kids, and he's like,
yeah, none of that shit makes any sense to me. So.
I thought it was okay.
Oh, Malignant is his
he did
newest
Malignant.
He did Malignant. Hold on. He also did Aquaman. He did.
Yeah, I knew that.
He did the MacGyver movie.
But I think he wrote Malignant with his wife or something.
He did The Conjuring 1 and 2.
Okay.
He did. These are all movies that he directed. Furious 7.
Holy shit.
Insidious Chapter 2.
So he's like a
Insidious, the first one. Yeah. Death Sentence is the Kevin Bacon movie.
Got it.
Dead Silence, which I don't know, which is his first movie right after Saw.
Oh, another Kevin Bacon one that I watched during this month. You Should Have Left. It's okay.
I don't know that one.
It's got like a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes. Basically, they go to this house and like the house is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like not, I guess it's haunted. It's like warping, and he's like measuring the inside, and like it's somehow bigger on the outside, and then he's finding all these rooms, but then the rooms aren't there, and then was he dreaming it when he's found the room, but then he's like writing in a book, and it's like, you should leave, or it's too late, and then like it's decent. There's some good creepy scares in it.
Is it like sci-fi?
It's a little sci-fi, but it's definitely more in the vein of horror.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like my.
And he keeps getting separated from his daughter, who's in blah 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 blah.
Okay,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, my favorite premises are set either in a real world or an alternate reality with a little bit of sci-fi,
a little bit in there,
and then whatever tone you want to put over that, drama, horror, comedy. Yeah. But those are like the stories that I attach to the most.
I think you're a little more you're harder on stuff. You might fucking hate.
I might hate it.
That one, but it's okay.
Like I watched what's that one?
I was surprised that the review was so low, but most horror movies are split. Like people either love them or
yeah. So. I watched another one. I actually watched way more than I thought this month. I just forgot them. Identity with fucking Jasmine.
Shut up. We're probably pretty close. Where are we at? Can you see what time it is?
11:17.
Or what time we have?
Oh, I don't think there's a timer on there.
Oh, that's all right. It feels like we're 11:17. We probably started at.
Oh, there is a timer. An hour and 2 minutes is what we're at.
I sensed that pretty perfectly.
Damn. Hold on, I wanted to read this shit. Oh yeah, Dead Silence. I want to say this is James Wan's second movie. A young widower returns to his hometown to research for answers to his wife's murder, which may be linked to the ghost of a deceased ventriloquist. Jesus. You know what? He really just got pigeonholed.
Jeff Dunham, stars.
He got pigeonholed into the puppet thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
They had
that looks way too much like the Goosebumps puppet, though.
Yes, I agree.
Like that's
I
way
very
too
much
close.
agree.
Which I guess is the original ventriloquist, like
Donnie Wahlberg is in it.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah! I also watched Clue the other night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
I like Clue.
It's kind of like Bodies.
Identity is the movie that I watched.
What is that one?
With fuck. I can't think of either of these guys' names, and they're both fucking
What's the movie
incredibly famous. This like group of people show up to like a motel in the rain, and they're like trying to figure out why they're there, and like people keep getting killed and nobody knows what's going on. John Cusack is the main guy.
How old is it?
It's like early 2000s. It's terrible. Maybe you should watch. I won't tell you about it. You should watch it and see if you like it. I think it's on Netflix right now, actually.
I did,
but wait, did you watch Under the Skin?
I have not watched.
Okay, I want you to watch that. I'm curious because it's reminiscent of The Witch, just in tone, as far as it being sort of like this slow burn.
Fucking boring.
Yeah. Well, no, just as far as this like slow burn, you have to sort of like sit into it, and then, but it has points of intrigue where like you get to something and it's like, okay, what exactly is happening?
I like that.
And I think
it kind of gets under your skin.
Yeah, it does.
Have you seen The Hunt?
That's the liberal hunting the
which
conservatives.
They like canceled at one point, and then it finally got.
I watched it when it first got released, and I
did too. And then we watched it the other day. We were watching stuff like that, like the one where
like that. Like
there's a couple of them. There's that one. There's the one where the girl's getting married to the rich family, and like the whole family.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, that's the one. No, it's called like, I forget what it's called. But she's like has to kill every member of the family to like hide and seek, maybe.
Oh yes, I haven't seen that. I know what you're talking about.
They're very similar in a way. It feels like
interesting.
But The Hunt is fun. I don't think it's good, but it's a fun watch.
It's like if a white director saw Get Out and they were like, "No, I'm gonna get you back."
How can we do this right?
Shit.
Alrighty.
Damn, is it time?
Got any recs?
So this is I think what we're gonna do at the end now. I think I'm gonna have a question that I'll give you and Brian if we're there before the podcast. So you think about it a little bit, and then at the end I'll ask, and we'll all give our answers.
All right. What's your question?
And so today, maybe we'll do this again for when Brian is around. But today is, I forgot to tell you before, but what is your most embarrassing like fashion choice
of
when you
life?
When you look back on it? I have two.
All right. You go first, and
I'll do one first, and then I'll do another one.
I
think, and this is something
I'm not that embarrassed, but
I'm not that embarrassed, but it's something that I look back that like we should all be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Beanies with bills on it.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
A beanie with a bill on it.
I definitely had a beanie with a bill.
I had multiples.
I think I only had one, and I wore the hell out of it.
And I tell you what, I never wore it straight in the middle. Never wore it straight in the middle. Crazy. Always wore it off to the side.
Straight. I was a straight shooter.
Felt like the bassist of Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
I feel like Fall Out Boy just feels like the beanie with a bill band.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh no, it definitely does. It definitely does. Or
with your hair like sort of coming out of it.
Or Hoobastank.
Hoobastank is definitely and like Incubus.
Well, you don't have to touch it on Incubus.
Beanie with a bill. Listen,
now you've gone too far.
No shit talking on Incubus, but Beanie with a Bill band is like
Beanie with a Bill.
That's a whole genre. I'm gonna make a playlist on Spotify called Beanie with a Bill.
Okay.
Just have all these.
I have a couple, and they're also hat related.
Okay.
Bending a hat into a point.
Oh, the point.
The point. Definitely did that at one point.
That was in the height of when hats had cardboard in the bill, and not now had to have plastic in the bill. And so you would basically break the piece of cardboard, and it would become like this sharp point.
This one's actually crazier.
That's pretty bad.
I don't know who came up with this and why we started doing this. We would, in a vise, bend quarters onto the brim of our hats.
Interesting. You would bend quarters.
Yeah, you'd take a vise and
I'm pretty sure that's a federal offense.
And we'd have like 3 quarters on the side of our hat, on our like Spitfire hat.
Just in case you had to like make a call.
I have no fucking clue.
Hold on, let me unbend these quarters real quick.
It makes no fucking sense.
I'll call my mom
and it made the
pick me
hat
up.
very heavy and dangerous.
That's so fucking funny. Is that how wearing your hat to the side started? Because it would just weigh your hat out to the side.
No fucking clue.
Well, this is something I never did, but when I moved to South Carolina, everyone would bend fish hooks onto
Yeah,
their
the
hat.
Fisher of Men. That's a Christian thing.
And then it became a thing where companies started literally putting out fish clips that are fish hooks that are already clips that you just slide on there.
Fisher of Men or fish? That's what they.
Fisher of Men. What's
yeah,
that?
that's like it's a Christian thing.
Oh, I have no idea.
That's why they do that.
Fisher of Men.
I'm pretty sure.
Listen. That sounds pretty gay. That sounds.
I could be. Oh, that's your phone.
Fisher. I've never heard that. I grew up
Fisher
in a Christian household, going to church every Sunday, and I have never heard of that. Fisher of Men.
Let me look.
I thought it was just a fisher of fish sort of thing. Like if you go fishing.
Fisher of fish.
Yeah, if you go fishing, that you
Fishers
wear.
of Men. Fishers of Men. That's a thing.
I've
Fishers
never
of
heard
Men
of
is
that.
a phrase used in the Gospels to describe the mandate given by Jesus to his first disciples. Two brothers, fishermen, Simon, called Peter, and Andrew, were casting a net into the Sea of Galilee.
And thou shalt not.
Let's see. Fisher of Men hat. I'm pretty sure.
There's no way that hook is directly related to Christianity. That's so funny.
Pretty sure it is. I could be wrong. All right.
Oh, okay. I got one more.
I think, well,
You
we
got
already
another
talked
one?
about them, but just huge fucking shoes. Either Etnies or
yeah.
DCs.
Yeah,
Something
and,
like
and
that.
it's funny because like chunky shoes are coming back. Just in general. Like not necessarily like a
Force
padded
feeding,
like
but-
performance shoe, but I mean Travis Scott, who I don't like any of his shoes personally. But
even know he had shoes.
he put out a shoe that was literally just a direct copy of those Fat Osiris shoes,
Yeah.
and I don't think they did very well. But
Oh, you don't say.
no, because they're ugly. But fashion is changing, so it's going to be interesting what is considered a faux pas in the future. I feel like it's just becoming more and more stuff is being accepted.
White visors, you think that's ever going to go
I think
in
white
style?
visors are fine. I think visors in general are fine.
Visors are pretty
Feels
dope.
very southern in Florida. It's Florida.
It's a Florida one.
Yeah, so that makes sense. All right, my last one, and this is a two-parter, is suspenders.
Ooh, I don't know
Now,
if I agree with that.
now in middle school,
I think
we would wear
suspenders are
suspenders, not on our shoulders. You would clip them to your pants, and you would just let them hang.
Let them hang.
Because we were punk, bro.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about.
Because we were punk.
But actually wearing just regular suspenders.
Regular suspenders is cool.
Pretty dope.
Especially if you have the Old West kind that has the two, like, buttons that you go here instead of just the little clips. Because the clips are like, later 60s-ish.
Yeah, I don't even know.
But the ones that have the
don't think I've ever
buttons on
owned a pair.
where your pants have the buttons on them, those are the shit. But I had a pair of pants that were plaid shorts that had fake suspenders on them. Suspenders that you couldn't even put on your shoulders if you wanted to. That were just part of the pants just because. And that was the era of emo. That was 2001 that I wore
because
those.
You just triggered a memory.
Well, that particular era, and I keep like reminiscing about this conversation I had with Brian about how in that era there was no such thing as emo. We thought we were punk rock.
Yeah.
Like that is the
I know. I thought
that's
it was
really the core
emo.
of what emo was at the time.
Actually, I never thought I was emo. I just listened to some emo music.
Yeah.
I never like had a weird haircut or wore makeup or anything like that. But I
'Cause
definitely knew people that did.
It became a genre like in like more like closer to like 2003, 4, 5. Like
Looking back on it,
it became like, oh, this is like, because this is separate than what punk rock was, and pop
I just
punk
thought it was
became
like
a thing.
alternative
Like,
rock, I think at the time.
yeah, nobody really knew how to like market it really.
This might be my worst. Skin tight pants that didn't have flex in them. You could literally see my little 7th grade bulge.
Yeah,
And trying to skate in those
Yeah.
for one, wearing them to school, and like big shoes probably, but not huge shoes, but skate shoes, skin tight fucking pants, and like
a beanie with a bill.
long fucking hair.
Yeah, I had long hair when I was
like
young too.
really fucking long hair, and being like, what? that
Bruh.
that was like 7th, 8th grade.
Oh,
And I
fuck.
sucked at skateboarding. If you're good at skateboarding, you can wear whatever
Yeah,
fucking
do whatever
pants
fuck you want. Yeah. It's actually cooler if you're dressed like a ridiculous
Yeah,
person.
fucking who was the most famous for Chris Cole definitely wore really tight pants.
That was
Jim Greco.
the early days of boys wearing tight pants again in the late 90s and early 2000s was tough because you're probably having to buy women's pants.
I never did that.
And elastic was not a big part of denim at the time.
Which would have been fucking helpful.
Yeah, no shit.
I could have just been wearing jeggings.
Yeah, and this is still something, this is like a fashion thing that I still stick by today. The number one excuse that people give for wearing something that is silly and usually just some cultural thing that's going on is that it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And
that is not.
That is almost always a lie. Like up until like the last maybe 5 or 6 years in like fashion overall, comfort has never been
an issue or
it's never been a priority.
Concern, yeah.
Like it's never been something that they push for, and now like so many shoes are like seriously comfortable. Yeah. Like denim is like there's elastic in basically every always like it's just become this whole thing where comfort is
king, baby.
That's very true.
I'm all about it. I mean, I wear fucking swimsuits pretty much every day.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about it before. Like even like nice pants that would previously be uncomfortable, dress shirts and shit like that, they're all comfy. Super nice now. Yeah. It's become, I mean, it's a priority, especially if like you're spending real money on shit. Like,
oh yeah, I need to buy some clothes.
Let's go to Target.
Oh, I don't support fast fashion, bro. Actually, I do.
Yeah, you do.
I go to fucking Target all the time.
I mean, Target is probably your better fast fashion than like Forever 21 and H&M and shit like that.
Does Forever 21 have guys' clothes?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, folks.
Yeah, and Forever 21 and H&M is real fast fashion.
H&M is
where they...
I've been there a couple times.
But they basically just... Whatever cuts are being made by real... Designers, they're like, okay, we can just make those cuts in the cheapest fabric possible and sell it for $11.
Probably in a sweatshop somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're not going to do it on an island, a beautiful island. You know, they don't want them to be too happy.
Nope.
But, yeah, let's get out of here. Hit them with the Soshis.
All right, follow me
at
did a while. Bone Thugs and eHarmony on Instagram. Follow me at Bo's Backyard Burgers LA. We are in the middle of moving, so we probably won't do another burger pop up.
We didn't talk about that at all.
That's all right. I'll tell you about it off air. We should be back and doing burgers hopefully within the next couple weeks, so that'll be good. And follow us on YouTube, which is probably the only way you could be watching this, so you already know about it. But
yes.
At What's Wrong With Me
Like and subscribe. Don't just watch us and don't subscribe, because then we don't know. We do always get more views than we have subscribers, though, which is good.
Yeah, that is good. But also like and subscribe.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And comment if there's anything that you love or hate about
just no hate speech.
No actual hate speech. About us, you can do hate
you can hate us. That's fine.
But no hate, just general hate speech.
General hate speech is not accepted.
And
this is the anti-Hitler episode, so don't be putting hate speech on our episode.
Oh, fuck. Check out my other podcast that I do with Doug Benson and Alicia Glass every Tuesday on patreon.com/gettingdoug. We shoot it right here, but I make the studio look much nicer. So check that out. That's a lot of fun. We got a live episode. Nope, you probably just missed the live episode because this is going up probably the day after we do it. But we're going to be doing live episodes, I believe, the first of every month now. So check that out. Follow me on Instagram at Rizzo, and follow our Instagram, www.impod on the Insta. And yeah, we'll post some stuff on there a little bit more. Yeah, thanks for being here. Let's 5 it out, bro.